This is Brother Goodwin, Prophecy in the Spotlight, and Dr. Hiltebitter. We're going to discuss briefly today what we're going to do in the show this week on CTN, as well as right here on YouTube. We're talking, we talked last week about the global system that's coming. We didn't get very far. We talked about the Jubilee and the property and things like that. And we read some things from Damon Duck in an article that he had written that were very interesting, very timely for what's going on globally here. So, Doc, this week we're going to really jump into the guts of this and the meat of it all, and we're going to talk about some attributes of this final kingdom.
Yes.
Basically, we're talking about, during the tribulation, we learned that there's going to be a one world digital financial system. That's the only way it could work, where if someone can stop you from buying and selling, unless you've got the mark, it has to be a digital system of some sort.
It has to be a digital system. Technology has to be a part of it. Artificial intelligence has to be part of that governing power.
And there has to be oversight. There has to be somebody.
Yeah.
You know, everybody talks about, well, we don't want anyone, we don't want nationalism. We don't want anyone telling us what to do.
Somebody's got to be able to build the algorithms to go in.
More people have died under these globalistic type dictator systems. My goodness. People don't realize what we've got in America with our Constitution.
Yes.
I realize we're not following it much anymore, and we're in bad shape, but it was a great system if we'd use it.
Still is, if it would just stay with it.
Yeah, and it protected the little guy, protected,
Yes.
It could protect the little guy against a Goliath. I mean, the Constitution. You had rights, and of course the Bill of Rights and things like that. So
and you had one level of law rather than a double standard.
Yeah, and now, of course, the law applies to us, but not to our leaders.
That's what I mean. It's a double standard.
We call them our leaders. They're actually supposed to be our representatives, and they're supposed to take orders from us.
Well,
and but now they
dictate orders to us.
They're tearing down the wall on our border and letting people in, and they've put a wall around Washington D.C. to protect themselves.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Yeah,
that's just in America. The thing is, the entire world's of the same mindset. The entire world. And we tend
to look at the Bible from an American perspective.
Yeah,
don't we?
We can't help that.
Yeah,
being American, but in order to really understand prophecy, you got to get out and you got to put yourself over in Jerusalem and Israel and look at it from that standpoint.
And I always tell people you got to pull yourself back from the world.
Yeah,
kind of like this up here.
Get back
and look at the world the way God looks at it.
That's it.
And yes, America has a part to play. America's a big deal. For the last 100 or so years, we've been the leader of the world.
Well, God raised us up, I'm convinced, Dan, for the evangelization of the world.
Yeah, I think two things.
In the missionary age.
I think He raised us up to put Israel in their land.
Yes.
And He raised us up to be the gospel preaching
raised
center
us
of the
up
world.
At the same time, just as this King James Bible was coming out for everybody to have, God raised our nation up, and we were able to take this book and go into all the world and evangelize.
Yeah, because Great Britain was that institution at one time. They conquered lands, but they brought the gospel everywhere they went.
Yes.
And if you study the 1800s, they were out there, but they fell away. And by the way, I don't know if you've ever been over there. I haven't, but I've
been there.
Well, I think I have been there. I'm trying to remember. I've been in the Navy. I was somewhere. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the port that Portsmouth or something like that. Yeah. Is that where it was?
I've been over there, and I'm here to tell you.
Oh, it's godless now.
It is, and the thing is, we're going down the same path in America. It's the exact same path.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
when you throw God out, that's where you end up.
Yeah, so there's some attributes that we see in the book of Revelation and in Daniel and other places that describe the world system after we're gone. Yeah. So what we ought to be looking at are some of those things in place now. And what we found is yes.
Yes.
And we're going to share them in the show. We're going to get right to it in the show. Last week we built the foundation and we just about got there. We talked about it a little bit, but we're going to jump right into it this coming week, and we're going to talk about some characteristic traits of this global system that is not only coming.
It's already here.
It's here, isn't it?
Yes.
All right.
And it's global.
Okay, and I have a book called The Mystery of the Jubilee. You might check that out. A lot of my notes that I'm going to be sharing with you about this system, some of it's from an article that I wrote, and most of it's in the book, The Mystery of the Jubilee. There's some chapters in there where I talk about this. I think my 7 Clocks book has some of this too, if you're interested in getting more information on this. So this is so important, and this ought to help people sleep better at night.
Yeah. Hey, the king's still on the throne.
Yeah.
All these things have to happen.
And we're anxious for the rapture.
We might as well be the generation that goes out. Somebody's going to be the generation. It's not going to be us.
If we're anxious for the rapture and we want out of here, some things got to be in place.
Things have to be in place.
And some bad things got to be in place.
I tell folks all the time, it's not like going to the high school play where they pull the curtain and change all the scenery, act number 3. No, tomorrow is just a morphing in from today. And so the stage has got to be set for the tribulation the day the rapture takes place.
Now, I want to know who's that man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And you could say God, of course, is behind the curtain, but Satan is pulling strings too. And God has allowed him.
He's the God of this world, as we saw last week. Show. And I'm here to tell you, he's in charge. It's pretty obvious he's got his, we call it a Luciferian order of some sort. He's definitely got a prince over all of these nations, and it's pretty obvious this is too coordinated for man to be able to do what's happening.
Yeah, the Bible talks about where Satan's seat is.
Yes.
That's an interesting verse right there, worthy of some thought and study.
Yep. And we understand in Pergamos what that was at that time.
But it has a prophetic
meaning.
But it has
a prophetic meaning, and we're watching it.
Yeah. And there's a place on the earth somewhere that's Satan's seat, most likely.
A couple of presidents ago, copied all of that for his inauguration of accepting their party's nomination to his. He took the scene of Pergamos and set it up at the stadium up there in Colorado. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, maybe we'll have to talk about that sometime.
Yeah, I mean, when Mr. Obama walked down those stairs and that whole thing, that was a replica of Pergamos. He walked out on Satan's seat.
Wow.
On Satan's seat. Yeah.
There's a lot of things about Obama.
I know
people always ask me who I think the Antichrist is. And
you think it's him, and I think it's probably Marcon of France. But
it could be that it's neither.
It's probably neither.
It's probably some guy somewhere we've never heard of.
It's probably one of those guys behind the scenes really pulling the curtain, pulling the strings. Yeah.
And of course, you have the story of Pergamos, and I have my story that I wrote way back in 2014, all documented about Obama coming on the scene. And I just got to thinking, this is the preview. This isn't the show. We got to get off here. But anyway, I'll go ahead and finish some of this. Obama in 2013 did something pretty amazing. And it was under the radar. Everybody missed it because the calendars are funny. He went to Israel in March of 2013. Well, nobody thought about it. And then I got to studying. I don't know if I read something or if I did it myself. I don't remember now. But what we found was he arrived in Israel. I think it was the 20th of March or something like that. It was actually the 10th of Nisan on the Jewish calendar. The day that Jesus would have rode down the mountain on the donkey and presented himself as their Messiah. And because I personally believe the Antichrist is going to mock or mimic the seven feasts.
I agree.
And part of that seven feast is presenting yourself. It could be that part's already happened.
If you're right about who it is,
Well, there's some other things. Where was this man born? There's a lot of controversy about the birth certificate. And,
what birth certificate?
The sheriff in Arizona. Remember the team they put together? They had the evidence. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to see any of that. They had the evidence that the whole birth certificate was a fake. It was layers of something they'd made.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. But what I get out of that is here's a man that doesn't seem to have a beginning. We don't know where he came from. He's like Melchizedek without mother or father. Who is this man? Came out of nowhere, suddenly became a senator, and all of a sudden he's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things about him.
It took our the present president about 47 years to get there. He got there in 4.
Yeah. And of course the stuff about the Pope in 2013 when I think 6 days after Obama announced that he was going to
he decided
Israel,
he'd give up
the former Pope announced that he was resigning.
Yeah.
The first, only one of I think 6 popes in history that have ever resigned. 6 days after the Pope, 6 days after Obama made his announcement he was going to Israel, the Pope came out publicly and said he was resigning. That was around noontime. 6 hours later, at exactly 6 p.m. at night, lightning strikes St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. I mean, I've got it all documented. Exactly 6 p.m. Rome time, lightning strikes. There's a picture of it. And, we think of that verse in the Bible says, Jesus said, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. And then there's the thing, when they, how they vote in the new pope, they have the smoke come out of the chimney up there. And, this is shocking. He was, the pope that we have now was voted in March of that year, the same year, March 13th, 2013, at exactly 8:13 p.m. So that's 3/13/13 at 8:13 at night. Of course, that number 13 is usually not a 13th floor in a hotel because of people are scared of that.
Superstition.
Yeah, it's a funny number.
Yeah,
isn't that strange? And
you can't hardly make it up, can you?
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying I'm not saying that he's the Antichrist. I'm saying there's a lot of funny things about him. Without mother or father, his birth certificate, the place of his birth. Yeah. There are people who believe that his father was born, I think in Africa there somewhere. I forget the exact name, Kenya, I think. But
Kenya.
They said the GPS coordinates was the same as Jerusalem, except the decimal point was moved.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never checked it out.
That's strange too. There's a lot of strange things with this guy. But anyway, you want to know what's all this got to do with globalism? Everything. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the world leader that's coming.
Somebody has to be of an age to be a leader when the rapture takes place, to be that man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we're near the end, and we are,
I'm convinced.
The Antichrist is alive and well, ready to come on the scene, and so we'll talk about some of these things in the show this week. And so, anything you wanted to add before we go?
I think we need to get on to recording the show.
All right, so we'll get off of here. Hey, don't forget, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Visit the website, prophecyinthespotlight.com, and you can click on our bookstore there, my bookstore and his bookstore there. You can get that Mystery of the Jubilee book on there, the 7 Clocks book, or the YouTube channel is accessible there, the Facebook page, all that. So check out the website. And so make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell if you want to get alerts, and share this on your social media pages and get this out there. And don't forget, we're on CTN on TV, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday nights, it's replayed at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So if you got parents or friends or loved ones who watch TV and have CTN, make sure you tell them about our show that's on there. All right, until Friday, till we get on with the next show, keep your eyes on them skies.